This is the 8th video in a series of 9 videos covering the book, The Richest Man in Babylon, by George S. Clason. In this video, we will address Chapter 8, The Camel Trader of Babylon. Imagine for a moment looking at your own financial life and realizing that there are decisions, debts, and regrets you've been carrying for years. Now also imagine that there is a real chance to start over, no matter if you're 40, 50, or even 60 years old. The chapter, The Camel Trader of Babylon, presents us with the story of Dabasir, a man who also carried the weight of poor choices, who allowed himself to be seduced by consumption, accumulated debt, and lost control of his own life. But instead of accepting his fate, he decided to rebuild it. That is the essence of this chapter: reconstruction, honor, discipline, and responsibility. And if you are seeking prosperity in the mature stage of life, there couldn't be a more inspiring example. Dabasir's journey begins with an emotional backdrop that many people know well: shame, guilt, and a sense of failure. He wasn't born undisciplined, but he was seduced by the easy lifestyle, by the pleasure of the moment, by the illusion of "I'll fix it later." Maybe you've been through this. Maybe you've felt the pain of realizing you were spending more to fill emotional voids than to build a solid future. After 40, that weight is heavier because time charges interest, just like debts. When Dabasir finds himself completely in debt, fleeing from his creditors, he tries to escape his responsibilities and ends up being sold as a slave. This metaphor is powerful. When we lose control of our money, we become slaves emotionally, socially, and often physically. In his condition as a slave, he meets a wise woman who confronts him with a decisive question: are you truly a man? Or are you just behaving like an animal that runs away from its own destiny? That moment is a wake-up slap to any adult who has ever felt their financial life slip out of control. In maturity, the world expects responsibility from us, and more importantly, we expect it from ourselves. After this turning point, Dabasir decides to reclaim his place as a free man. And this is where the lesson connects deeply with financial life after 40. Freedom is not something we find, it's something we build. He returns to Babylon and faces his creditors with courage. Instead of hiding, he takes responsibility for his debts, negotiates monthly payments, and begins living with discipline. Let's be honest, after 40, we don't have time to waste improvising. We need method, structure, and habits that ensure prosperity in a predictable way. One of the most important lessons in this chapter is determination. Dabasir records his decisions on clay tablets, documenting every payment, every step, every commitment. This represents the modern idea of financial planning. You need to control your money, not just react to it. It's not enough to pay bills. You must know why, when, how, and for what purpose. If you want to prosper, you need to document, track, and adjust your plan. Prosperous people don't operate only on good intentions. They operate with numbers. And here's a crucial point. By taking responsibility for his debts and creating a repayment system, Dabasir recovers something far greater than money. He recovers self-esteem. How many adults after 40 feel diminished when dealing with debt? How many believe they have permanently lost control? But when you face the situation head-on, when you build a strategy, when you pay a little each month, something inside of you changes. You stop being a hostage and become the commander. The chapter also reminds us that prosperity is built daily. Dabasir learns that part of his money must be used to live, part to pay debts, and part to invest. Sound familiar? This is the essence of modern finance. Save before you spend, invest before you consume. The logic is simple but powerful. First you pay yourself, then you pay the past, your debts. and only then you pay the present. Small amounts accumulated over time become great fortunes, and after 40, time becomes our ally, if we know how to use it wisely. Throughout the chapter, we also see a lesson about humility. Dabasir stands before his creditors and asks for a second chance. How many times has pride sabotaged our prosperity? Maturity teaches us that asking for help, renegotiating, explaining, and organizing isn't weakness, it's wisdom. Those who act transparently inspire confidence, and confidence is worth gold in the world of finance. If you're watching this video and feel that you've already failed financially, that you've missed opportunities, that you're past the deadline, know this. Babylon teaches us that prosperity doesn't come from haste. It comes from discipline. It's not about having luck, but having a system. It's not about how much you earn, but how well you manage. Financial life after 40 is not a sprint. It is a strategic marathon. An exciting part of the chapter shows the creditors following Dabasir's progress. They begin suspicious, but when they see his consistency, they realize that this man is changing. And here lies one of the greatest lessons for mature life. The world respects discipline. Your friends, family, business partners, everyone starts to see your value when you demonstrate consistency. And even more importantly, you begin to see your own value. Prosperity is, above all, identity. As Dabasir pays his debts, something happens inside him. He becomes capable of generating wealth, not just settling it. He becomes more valuable to himself and to others. This is the turning point in the prosperity mindset. Paying off debt is not just about closing holes, it's about creating space to plant. When you eliminate the weight of the past, you open room to build the future. After 40, few investments are more important than recovering self-respect, restoring self-esteem, and taking control of your financial life. That is what liberates. That is what transforms. The chapter ends with Dabasir not only free, but prosperous. He became free because he became disciplined. After paying his debts, he grows, prospers, and becomes a reference. This reminds us that every adult who decides to face their finances today is, in fact, building a legacy. As you reflect on this story, think, what is your internal camel? That strength that can lead you back to the right path. Maybe it's a skill, a neglected talent, a habit, or a new profession. After 40, our experience is gold. Our repertoire is worth a lot. What once felt like weight can become a competitive advantage. Prosperity in the mature phase of life is not about chasing lost time. It's about walking with maturity, intelligence, and purpose. The gold we seek is often buried within us, under layers of fear, guilt, and bad habits. But all it takes is to dig deep enough, adjust your behavior, commit, and continue. There is no age limit to prosper. There is only a limit to discipline. Be like Dabasir. Face your internal and external creditors. Negotiate with courage. Pay consistently. Invest in yourself. And let time work in your favor. When you act this way, you not only pay debts, you buy freedom. If this content made sense to you, keep following this series. Like, comment, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, check out our financial mindset development materials in the first pinned comment. I'll see you in the next video.